I walked into Vespertine hoping to stay invisible, until Enzo Vitale stood up for me in front of the city's cruelest elite, and everyone understood what it meant when he looked at me like I belonged to him. Now I'm trapped in a penthouse that feels like a kingdom in a cage, paid in silk and silence while my sister's life hangs in the balance. When Cecilia Thorne comes for me, and the threat turns deadly, I'll have to decide if I'm just his liability, or the one person brave enough to stand beside the king when his own trusted circle turns traitor. I'm used to being invisible. It's a survival skill baked into the job description, an essential part of the uniform along with the cheap black apron and the non-slip shoes that have long since lost their grip. As a waitress, you learn to smile through it, through the snapping fingers, the careless insults, the particular way a certain kind of wealthy person looks right through you as if you are nothing more than a ghost assigned to deliver their truffle fries. You are a function, not a person. A pair of hands, a walking tray, the background noise of their glittering lives. I've bussed tables littered with half-eaten delicacies that cost more than my weekly rent, my stomach aching with a hunger that was more about dignity than food. I've mopped up spilled champagne that would have paid for my sister's medication for a month, my movements practiced and efficient, my face a carefully constructed mask of pleasant neutrality. Tonight, however, is different. Tonight, the air in Vespertine is thick with the scent of money and danger, a combination that clings to the velvet curtains and polished mahogany like an expensive, suffocating perfume. This isn't my usual diner gig. This is the deep end, a place I took a job out of a desperation so sharp it had scraped my soul raw. My sister Maya needs another round of treatments, and the bills are a mountain I can no longer pretend to climb. The tips here, they said, could change a life. They didn't mention it could also end one. The table in the corner alcove is the restaurant's nexus of power. At its head sits Enzo Vitale. I don't need the hushed whispers or the deferential way the restaurant manager bows to know who he is. His presence is a physical force, a drop in atmospheric pressure that commands attention. He doesn't speak loudly or move quickly. He doesn't have to. The city bends around him, a silent, unwilling consensus. His suit is a slash of perfect darkness, his face a study in brutal geometry, all sharp angles and shadows that his eyes, the color of storm-tossed sea, seem to command. I am clearing their plates, my movements small and unobtrusive. I am a whisper of motion, a phantom in black. That's the goal. But the billionaire's daughter, Cecilia Thorne, decides she wants an audience. Her laughter is high and brittle, like glass cracking. She leans forward, her diamonds catching the low light, and points a perfectly manicured finger not at me, but at the floor beside me. "Good heavens," she says, her voice carrying across the sudden lull in conversation. "Are those actual shoes? Or did you win them in a bet with a homeless person?" The table chuckles, a low, sycophantic ripple of amusement. Heat, sharp and shameful, floods my cheeks. I feel 1,000 eyes on my worn black flats, the spot near the toe where the faux leather has peeled away. These shoes have carried me through countless 16-hour shifts. They have stood vigil by Maya's hospital bed. They are a testament to my exhaustion, my failure. I bite the inside of my lip, the metallic tang of blood a small, sharp anchor in a sea of humiliation. I keep my head down, my world shrinking to the porcelain plates in my hands and the burning shame in my gut. Just get the plates. Just walk away. Disappear. Until a chair scrapes sharply against the marble floor. The sound is violent in the sudden, absolute silence. The laughter dies in their throats. Every head turns. Enzo Vitale is standing. He hadn't moved a muscle until now, a predator watching from a state of perfect stillness. Now he unfolds to his full, intimidating height, and the air crackles with something new. Not just power, but menace. His gaze is calm, almost lazy, but it lands on Cecilia Thorne with the weight of a physical blow. She pales, her self-satisfied smirk faltering. Some people should know their place, she had laughed. Enzo's voice is low, a gravelly murmur that somehow fills the entire restaurant. He doesn't look at me. His focus is entirely, terrifyingly on her. Her place, he says slowly, each word a carefully polished stone dropped into a silent pool, wise wherever she chooses to stand. The silence that follows is profound. It's the silence of a forest when a wolf walks through. Cecilia shrinks back in her seat, the color draining from her face, her diamonds suddenly looking like cheap glass. The other guests at the table are frozen, their gazes fixed on their plates, their wine, anywhere but at the man who holds all their fortunes and fears in the palm of his hand. Then he turns to me. I don't know what I expect. Pity, annoyance, dismissal. I am, after all, the source of this disruption, the speck of dust on his otherwise flawless evening. But his eyes, when they meet mine, hold none of those things. Not pity, not amusement, but with something far more dangerous. It's a look of assessment, of ownership. It's the look a man gives something he has just decided is his. In that moment, I, Lila Morgan, stop being invisible. The cloak of anonymity I've worn for years is ripped away, leaving me exposed and shivering under the weight of his stare. And I realize Enzo Vitale hadn't just defended me. He'd claimed me. Right here, in front of everyone. And in his world, a claim like that is a cage, whether gilded or iron. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic bird beating against a cage. My training, my instincts, everything screams at me to finish my task, to fade back into the wallpaper of the room. But my feet are rooted to the spot, held fast by the sheer gravity of his attention. He gives a nearly imperceptible nod toward the kitchen. A dismissal. But it's not for me. It's for the manager, who scurries over, his face a mask of anxious sweat. The young lady is finished for the evening, Enzo states. It's not a request. It's a decree. Have her belongings brought to my car. The manager just gapes for a second before a torrent of, "Yes, Mr. Vitale, of course, Mr. Vitale," spills from his lips. He looks at me, his expression a frantic mix of fear and confusion, and gestures wildly for me to go, to obey. I finally find my legs, turning and walking toward the swinging kitchen doors on autopilot. My hands are trembling, rattling the heavy plates. The walk feels 100 miles long, the burn of every stare on my back. I don't look back at the table. I can't. But I can feel his eyes on me, a physical pressure, a brand being seared into my skin. The kitchen is a cacophony of clattering pans and shouted orders, but it feels like a sanctuary after the suffocating silence of the dining room. I place the plates down with a clatter, my composure finally shattering. My co-workers watch me, their faces a mixture of curiosity and pity. They heard. Of course they heard. "Lila, what was that?" Maria, another waitress, asks, her eyes wide. Before I can answer, the manager bursts through the doors. "Morgan, get your things, now." He shoves my worn coat and my small, battered purse into my hands. My locker has already been emptied. The car is waiting out back. The car? What are you talking about? I'm not going anywhere with him. The words are out before I can stop them, a bubble of panicked defiance. The manager's face goes ashen. He grabs my arm, his fingers digging in. "Do you have any idea who that is? You don't say no. You don't do anything but what he says. You get in that car, or we're all in trouble. Do you understand me?" His voice is a desperate hiss. He's not just scared for me. He's terrified for himself, for his restaurant, for his whole life. This is the power Enzo Vitale wields. He doesn't need to make threats. The fear of him does the work. My protest dies in my throat. I think of Maya, of the sterile white walls of her hospital room, the constant beep of the machines that are keeping her stable. I think of the next bill, the one I absolutely cannot pay. My desperation, the very thing that brought me here, is now the chain that binds me. I have no choice. I never did. Nodding numbly, I let him steer me toward the back exit, past the steaming dishwashers and the overflowing bins. The alley is dark and smells of stale grease and rain. A long black sedan is idling by the curb, its engine a low, predatory purr. It's so sleek and polished it seems to absorb the darkness around it. A man in a dark suit, built like a refrigerator, stands by the rear door. He doesn't speak. He just opens it. It's an invitation that feels like an order, a cave opening up before me. Taking a shaky breath, I slide into the back seat. The door closes with a heavy, final-sounding thud, sealing me inside. The interior smells of rich leather and something else, a clean, masculine scent that is subtle and overwhelmingly Enzo. The windows are tinted so dark I can't see out, but I know the city is still there, indifferent to the fact that my life has just been irrevocably hijacked. A few minutes later, the other door opens and he gets in beside me. The space, which had felt large, suddenly shrinks. His presence is immense, sucking all the air from the small compartment. He doesn't look at me. He just taps on the glass partition. "Home," he says to the driver. Just one word. The car pulls away from the curb with impossible smoothness, gliding into the city traffic. I sit ramrod straight, my hands clenched around my purse straps so tightly my knuckles are white. My mind is a frantic storm. Where is he taking me? What does he want? The questions spiral, each one more terrifying than the last. I am acutely aware of the space between us, a chasm of a few inches that feels both infinitely vast and dangerously small. I have to say something. I can't just sit here in silence, a parcel being delivered to an unknown destination. I clear my throat, the sound small and pathetic. "Where are we going?" His head turns slightly, and in the dim glow of the passing streetlights, I see his profile. It's like something carved from granite. To a place where you will be safe." "Safe?" I was safe at my apartment. It's a weak lie. My apartment building has a broken lock on the front door and neighbors who fight at all hours. But it's mine. It's my life. "No, you weren't," he says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. "And you are even less so now. Cecilia Thorne has a long memory and a father who indulges her whims. After what happened tonight, you became a target, a way to slight me. I don't allow my interests to be slighted." My interests. Is that what I am now? An asset? A piece on his chessboard? The thought is both insulting and, in a strange, terrifying way, fortifying. To be his interest is to be under his protection. The very idea sends a shiver down my spine that is equal parts fear and something else, something I refuse to name. "You didn't have to do that," I whisper, staring at my hands. "Defend me." "Yes, I did," he says simply. "Insolence is a weed. If you allow it to grow in your garden, it chokes everything." He makes it sound like a business transaction, a simple matter of pest control. But I was there. I saw the look in his eyes. It wasn't about gardening. It was about possession. We drive in silence for what feels like an eternity. The car eventually leaves the gritty streets of my neighborhood behind, moving into wealthier territory where the buildings are taller, the lights brighter. We pull into a private underground garage, the gate sliding silently shut behind us, cutting us off from the world. We ride a private elevator, the ascent so smooth and silent my ears pop. The doors open directly into a penthouse. And it's not a penthouse. It's a kingdom in the sky. One entire wall is a sheet of glass, showcasing a breathtaking panorama of the city lights, a carpet of captured stars. The floor is polished white marble, the ceilings impossibly high. The furniture is sparse, modern, and clearly costs more than I will make in a decade. The air is cool and still, carrying that same clean scent of him. It's beautiful and sterile and utterly intimidating. It feels less like a home and more like a museum or a very luxurious prison. He walks past me, shrugging off his jacket and tossing it onto a minimalist black leather sofa. He moves to a vast built-in bar and pours 2 fingers of amber liquid into a heavy crystal glass. He doesn't offer me any. "You'll stay here," he says, his back to me. "Stay here? I can't. I have a job. I have a life." My voice trembles on the last word. He turns, swirling the liquid in his glass. "You have a new job. You work for me now, and your life is, for the moment, on hold." "What job?" I challenge, a spark of my old self igniting. "What could I possibly do for you?" A ghost of a smile touches his lips, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "You will be my assistant." "I don't know anything about being an assistant to whatever it is you do." "You will learn," he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. He takes a sip of his drink, his eyes never leaving mine over the rim of the glass. "You're intelligent. You're observant. You know how to be invisible when necessary. That is a rare and valuable skill. I will pay you 5 times what you made at that restaurant." The number hangs in the air between us. 5 times. The figure flashes in my mind, a staggering sum that could solve every problem I have. It could pay for Maya's treatments, all of them. It could give her the best doctors, the best care. It's a lifeline, a golden, glittering lifeline thrown by a man who looks like a devil. "Why?" I ask, the word barely a breath. "Why me?" He sets the glass down with a soft click. He closes the distance between us in 2 long, silent strides. He stops directly in front of me, so close I have to crane my neck to look up at him. I can feel the heat radiating from his body. I can see the flecks of silver in his dark eyes. "Because when Cecilia Thorne tried to make you small," he says, his voice a low, intimate rumble, "you did not shrink. You stood your ground. You held my gaze. And because you belong to me now, Lila, the sooner you accept that, the easier this will be." He doesn't touch me. He doesn't have to. His words are a cage, his proximity a brand. He has bought me, not with money, but with a public declaration. He has wrapped me in his dangerous protection, and the price is my freedom. Staring up into his unreadable face, I feel a terrifying thought surface. Part of me doesn't want to be free of it. The next morning, I wake up in a bed larger than my old apartment's living room. The sheets are silk, cool, and impossibly smooth against my skin. For a disorienting moment, I have no idea where I am. Then the memory of last night crashes down on me. Enzo Vitale, the restaurant, the car, this vast, empty penthouse. I sit up, my heart starting its familiar, panicked rhythm. The room is as impersonal as the rest of the apartment, decorated in shades of gray and white. My battered purse and worn coat are sitting on a sleek armchair in the corner, looking pitiful and out of place. My actual belongings, a symbol of the life he has paused without my permission. I find a closet full of clothes, not my clothes. New clothes, all with tags still on. Simple, elegant dresses in muted colors, tailored trousers, silk blouses, soft cashmere sweaters. There are even shoes, several pairs, all in my size. None of them have peeling leather. The sheer, calculated presumptuousness of it steals my breath. He didn't ask. He just provided. He has anticipated my needs and met them before I could even voice them. Another subtle assertion of control. I I feel a wave of resentment, hot and sharp, but it's followed by a confusing undercurrent of something else. Relief. The worn-out shoes that caused my humiliation are gone. I choose a simple black dress, the fabric feeling alien against my skin after years of cheap polyester uniforms. I feel like I'm wearing a costume, playing a part in a play I never auditioned for. When I emerge from the room, the apartment is silent. Sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows, making dust motes dance in the air. For a wild moment, I think he's gone, that it was all some bizarre, feverish dream. Then I see him. He's in what appears to be a home office, separated from the main living area by a wall of glass. He's on the phone, pacing, his voice too low to hear. He's already dressed in another immaculate dark suit, looking every bit the ruthless tycoon. He hasn't seen me. I watch him, unseen for a moment, and it feels like I'm observing a panther in its enclosure, all coiled energy and lethal grace. A woman with kind eyes and hair the color of snow is setting a tray on the large kitchen island. She smiles warmly at me. "Good morning, dear. I am Elena. I keep this place from falling apart. Mr. Vitale said you would be up soon. Coffee?" Her presence is so normal, so domestic, it's jarring. "Yes, please." I manage, my voice hoarse. She pours a cup from a silver pot, her movements calm and steady. "He is a difficult man," she says quietly, not looking at me. "But not a bad one. He sees things others miss." She slides the cup toward me. "He saw you." Her words echo my own thoughts from last night. It's unsettling. Does everyone in his orbit see the world through his lens? As she turns to leave, I feel a desperate need to connect with someone. "Elena?" She pauses. "Yes, dear?" "My sister. She's in the hospital. I need to see her. I need to call her." The desperation in my own voice surprises me. Elena's kind face softens with sympathy. "Of course. I will speak to him." I spend the morning in a state of suspended animation, perched on a stool at the kitchen island, nursing the coffee. I'm a ghost in his home, surrounded by his things, breathing his air, but completely disconnected from my own life. It's a gilded cage, but the bars are just as real. Finally, Enzo finishes his call and emerges from the office. He moves toward me, his expression unreadable. "Elena tells me you wish to contact your sister," he says, stopping a few feet away. "I need to," I say, my voice firmer than I expect. "She'll be worried. I call her every morning." He considers this for a moment, his dark eyes searching my face. "What is her name?" "Maya." The name feels like a prayer on my lips. "And her condition?" I hesitate. It's so personal, the litany of her illness, but his gaze is steady, expectant. "She has a rare autoimmune disorder. It affects her vascular system. The treatments are expensive." I hate the way my voice falters on the last word. Hate the admission of weakness, of need. He nods slowly, a flicker of something unidentifiable in his eyes. He pulls out his phone, taps the screen a few times, and then hands it to me. "You have 5 minutes." I take the phone, my fingers brushing his. A jolt, like static electricity, passes between us. I ignore it, focusing on the screen. I dial Maya's number from memory. She answers on the second ring, her voice small and groggy. "Lila, is that you? I was getting worried." "It's me, May," I say, trying to keep my voice light, normal. "Sorry, my phone died and I had to borrow one." It's a flimsy lie, but it's the best I have. "Oh, okay. Are you all right? You sound weird." "I'm fine, just tired. Long night at work." I glance up at Enzo. He's watching me, his expression intense. It feels like he's listening to every word, every breath. "How are you feeling today?" We talk for a few minutes, the conversation stilted and strange under his watchful eye. I tell her I love her, that I'll see her as soon as I can. When I hang up, my hand is shaking. I feel sick with the lies, with the distance. I hand the phone back to him. "Thank you," I say stiffly. "From now on, any calls will be made on this phone," he says, gesturing to a sleek new phone sitting on the counter. "Your old number has been ported to it. Your sister will be taken care of. I've had my physician consult with her doctors. She will be moved to a private suite at the Sterling Medical Center this afternoon. All her expenses will be handled." I stare at him, speechless. The Sterling Medical Center. It's the best, most exclusive hospital in the state, a place for celebrities and billionaires. The level of care there is legendary and impossibly expensive. He did this. In the space of a single morning, he solved the single biggest problem of my life with a few phone calls. The sheer scale of his power is dizzying. "Why?" I finally choke out. "I told you," he says, his voice low. "I protect my interests. Your sister's well-being affects your performance. A distracted employee is an inefficient one." He reduces it to logistics again, to business. But the gesture is so immense, like so overwhelmingly kind, it feels like a blow. He has taken my greatest burden and lifted it from my shoulders. And in doing so, he has bound me to him with chains of gratitude, far stronger than any contract. How can I fight a man who is saving my sister's life? I don't know what to say. "Say nothing," he says, turning away. "Your duties begin now. My schedule is on the tablet on the desk. Familiarize yourself with it. You will accompany me to all my meetings today. You will listen, you will observe, and you will speak to no one unless I address you first. Is that clear?" "Yes," I whisper. The word feels like a surrender. The days that follow blur into a strange, surreal routine. I am his shadow. I sit in the corner of boardrooms where deals worth millions are made with a few terse words. I stand behind him at charity galas where the city's elite flock to him, their smiles brittle and their eyes full of fear. I learn the names and faces of his lieutenants, his rivals, his allies. I learn to read the subtle shifts in his posture, the slight narrowing of his eyes that signals his displeasure, the almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw that means a deal is about to be violently renegotiated. I live in his penthouse, a ghost in his palace. I eat the food Elena prepares. I wear the clothes he bought for me. My old life, my tiny apartment, my exhaustion. It all feels like a dream from another lifetime. I visit Maya in her beautiful new room at the Sterling Center. She's thriving. The new doctors are incredible, she tells me, her eyes brighter than I've seen them in years. She asks me about my new job, and I feed her a carefully constructed story about working as a personal assistant for a wealthy philanthropist. The lies taste like ash in my mouth, but they are necessary. For her, I can bear anything. Enzo and I barely speak of anything personal. Our interactions are transactional, professional. He gives orders, I execute them. And yet, there is a current of something else running beneath the surface. I see the way he watches me when he thinks I'm not looking. Sometimes, in a crowded room, I will feel a sudden sense of being watched and look up to find his eyes on me from across the space. A silent, possessive claim. He never touches me, but I feel his touch everywhere. On the clothes I wear, on the food I eat, on the very air I breathe. One evening, we are at a museum benefit. The place is swarming with the city's upper crust. I am standing a few feet behind Enzo, maintaining my professional distance when I see her. Cecilia Thorne. She's holding a glass of champagne, talking to a group of people, but her eyes are scanning the room. They land on Enzo, and then, with a jolt of malice, they find me. Her smile is pure poison. She detaches herself from her group and glides toward us. "Enzo, darling," she purrs, placing a hand on his arm. He doesn't flinch, but I see the muscles in his jaw tighten. "I see you brought your charity case with you. How sweet." Her eyes rake over me, from my simple but elegant dress to the understated pearl earrings Elena insisted I wear. It's a look of pure, unadulterated loathing. I feel the old shame rise in me, the instinct to shrink, to disappear. But then I feel a warmth at the small of my back. Enzo has moved, almost imperceptibly, to stand slightly behind me, his hand resting on my waist. It's not a gentle touch. It's firm, possessive, a shield, and a statement. My breath catches in my throat. "Cecilia," he says, his voice dangerously soft. "I believe we've had this conversation before. About place." Cecilia's smile falters. She glances at his hand on my waist, and a flicker of rage crosses her face. "She's just a waitress, Enzo. You can't possibly be serious." "She is with me," he says, the words imbued with a chilling finality. "That is all you need to know." He steers me away, leaving her standing there, her face a mask of furious humiliation. We don't speak of the incident, but as we walk through the crowded gallery, his hand remains at the small of my back. It's a brand, a claim made public once more. And as much as I hate the feeling of being owned, a treacherous part of me feels safe, protected, seen. The invisible girl was gone, and in her place was a woman on the arm of the most powerful man in the city. And I am starting to realize that the cage he's built around me might be the only place I can survive. The weeks turn into a month. I learn the rhythms of his life, the silent language of his moods. I become ruthlessly efficient. I anticipate his needs, manage his impossible schedule, and field calls from men whose names make the police nervous. I am no longer just a shadow. I am a functioning part of his world. The fear is still there, a constant low hum beneath the surface, but it's now mingled with a disorienting sense of competence, of belonging. I am allowed to leave the penthouse now, but only with a driver, a silent man named Leo, whose presence is a constant reminder that I am not free. One afternoon, I convince Leo to let me make a quick, unscheduled stop at a small bookstore near the hospital. I just want a few minutes of normalcy, the scent of old paper and ink, a moment to feel like the old Lila. I'm browsing the shelves, my fingers tracing the spines of worn paperbacks, when the bell over the door jingles. I glance up and my blood runs cold. It's Cecilia Thorne. She's not dressed for a gala this time. She's in casual, expensive jeans and a leather jacket. And she's not alone. Two large, thuggish-looking men are with her. Her eyes find mine across the aisle, and she smiles that same venomous smile. "Well, well, look what we have here. The little stray, off her leash." My heart pounds in my chest. I look around. The store is empty except for the elderly owner behind the counter. Leo is outside in the car. I am trapped. "What do you want, Cecilia?" I ask, my voice shaking despite my best effort to keep it steady. What do I want?" She laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. "I want to teach you a lesson. Enzo may think you're something special, but you're not. You're nothing. A piece of trash he picked up off the street. And that's where you belong." She nods to the men. They start to move toward me, their intentions clear in their cruel smirks. I back away, my hand knocking a stack of books to the floor with a loud crash. Panic seizes me. There's nowhere to run. Just as they are about to reach me, the bookstore door flies open with such force it slams against the wall, the bell shattering. Enzo stands in the doorway. He's not in a suit. He's in dark jeans and a black Henley that stretches across his chest, and he looks more dangerous than I have ever seen him. His face is a thundercloud. his eyes blazing with a fury so potent it seems to suck all the air from the room. He doesn't say a word. He just looks at Cecilia's two men. They freeze, their eyes widening in genuine terror. They look from him to Cecilia and back again, and then, without a word, they turn and practically bolt from the store. Cecilia is left standing there, her bravado evaporating into thin air. She looks at Enzo, her face pale. Enzo? I was just... He takes 2 steps into the room, and she flinches back as if he struck her. "Get out," he snarls, his voice a low, terrifying growl. It's the first time I have ever heard him lose his composure, and it is the most frightening sound I have ever heard. She doesn't need to be told twice. She scurries out the door like a frightened rat. The store is silent except for my ragged breathing and the frantic pounding of my own heart. Enzo's gaze sweeps the room, taking in the fallen books, my pale face. His fury seems to recede, replaced by something else, something shuttered and intense. He walks over to me, his eyes scanning me from head to toe as if checking for injuries. "Did they touch you?" he asks, his voice tight. I shake my head, unable to speak. I'm trembling so hard I feel like my bones are rattling. He reaches out, and for a second I think he's going to touch my face, but instead his fingers brush a strand of hair from my cheek. The touch is surprisingly gentle, a stark contrast to the violence that had filled the room moments before. "Leo called me the second you changed your destination," he says, his voice regaining its usual calm, but with a hard edge. "You will not do that again. Do you understand?" "Yes," I whisper. He looks at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he bends down, his movements fluid and graceful, and begins to pick up the books I knocked over. I just stare at him, stunned into silence. Enzo Vitale, the man who commands the city's underworld, is on his hands and knees, stacking novels at my feet. The gesture is so unexpected, so incongruous, it short-circuits my brain. He stands, placing the books neatly on a nearby table. "Let's go," he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. He places a hand on my back, that same firm, possessive touch, and guides me out of the store. As we step out into the fading afternoon light, I see Leo standing by the car, his face grim. Enzo doesn't even look at him. He just opens the back door for me himself. The ride back to the penthouse is silent, but it's a different kind of silence than before. The air is thick with the aftermath of his anger, with my terror, with his shocking act of protection. He didn't just send someone, he came himself. The thought is both terrifying and deeply, dangerously comforting. That night, a storm rolls in over the city. Rain lashes against the panoramic windows, and thunder rattles the very bones of the building. The power flickers once, twice, and then dies completely, plunging the penthouse into absolute darkness, save for the frantic, strobing flashes of lightning outside. I yelp, a small, involuntary sound. I've been afraid of thunderstorms since I was a child, a primal, irrational fear that has never left me. In the sudden, oppressive blackness, the penthouse feels vast and menacing. My heart starts to pound. "Lila?" His voice comes from across the room, a calm anchor in the dark. "I'm here," I manage, my voice a thin thread. I hear a soft sound, and then a small flame flickers to life. He's lit a candle from the decorative set on the coffee table. In the wavering golden light, his face is all shadows and angles, more mysterious than ever. He lights a few more, placing them around the living area, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. "Are you all right?" he asks, his eyes finding mine in the gloom. "I don't like storms," I admit, feeling childish. He nods, his expression serious. "The backup generator should have kicked in. There must be a fault." He moves toward the bar and retrieves a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, his movements sure and steady in the dim light. He pours the wine and hands a glass to me. Our fingers brush, and that familiar spark ignites. This time, I don't pull away so quickly. "Thank you," I say, taking a sip. The wine is rich and smooth, and its warmth spreads through my chest, calming the frantic fluttering of my nerves. We sit in silence for a while, watching the storm rage outside. The lightning illuminates the city in stark, beautiful flashes, the thunder a deep, rolling growl. The power outage has stripped away the sterile perfection of the penthouse, making it feel smaller, more intimate. It has stripped away our roles, too. He is not the boss, and I am not the assistant. We are just 2 people, trapped in a glass tower, listening to the rain. "Why did you come today?" I ask, the question I've been holding on to all evening. "To the bookstore. You could have sent someone." He stares into the candle flame, his profile etched by the flickering light. For a long time, I don't think he's going to answer. When he finally speaks, his voice is low, rough with an emotion I've never heard from him before. "I had a sister once," he says. The words hang in the air, heavy and unexpected. I hold my breath, knowing this is a door opening into a part of him he keeps locked away from the world. "Her name was Sophia," he continues, his gaze distant, lost in a memory I can't see. "She was younger than me, all light and laughter. She trusted everyone. She saw no bad in the world." He takes a long swallow of his wine. "Our father had enemies. We were taught to be careful, to be suspicious. But Sophia, she couldn't see it. She fell in love with a man our father's rivals sent to get to him. To get to us!" A loud clap of thunder shakes the building, and I jump, spilling a little wine on my hand. Enzo doesn't even flinch. "I warned her. I told her he was no good. But she was in love. She thought I was just being an overprotective brother." His voice is flat, but I can hear the ragged edge of ancient pain beneath it. They used her. They used her trust to set a trap for my father. He walked right into it. He didn't survive. My God. I stare at him, my own childish fear of the storm forgotten, replaced by the chilling reality of his past. "And Sophia?" I whisper. He turns his head, and his eyes, dark and full of a grief so profound it makes my chest ache, meet mine. "When she realized what she'd done, what he had used her for, she couldn't live with it. She took her own life a week later." He says the words with a stark finality. I wasn't there. I was cleaning up my father's mess, hunting the men responsible. I wasn't there to stop her. I failed to protect her. The confession lays him bare. It's the key to everything. His control, his possessiveness, his obsession with protecting me. It's not about power, not entirely. It's about atonement. He's trying to save me because he couldn't save her. My fear of him, the resentment, the confusion, it all dissolves in that moment, replaced by a wave of overwhelming empathy. I see not the monster, but the broken boy who lost everything. Without thinking, I reach out and place my hand over his on the sofa. His hand is cold, but it curls around mine instantly, his grip surprisingly tight, desperate. We sit there in the candlelight, the storm raging outside, his past a living, breathing thing in the space between us. And for the first time, I am not afraid of Enzo Vitale. I am afraid for him. The power stays off for hours. We don't talk much more after his confession. We don't need to. The silence is no longer empty or tense. It's filled with a new, fragile understanding. He holds my hand, his thumb stroking absently over my knuckles, and I don't pull away. The storm outside begins to subside, its fury spent. The thunder softens to a distant rumble, the rain to a gentle patter against the glass. Eventually, he stands, pulling me up with him. In the flickering candlelight, his face is softened, the hard lines eased by shadow and vulnerability. He looks down at me, his gaze so intense it feels like a physical touch. "Lila," he says, his voice a rough whisper. He lifts his other hand, his fingers tracing the line of my jaw, his touch sending a tremor through my entire body. This is it. The moment that has been building since the night he first looked at me. The air is thick with unspoken words, with fear and desire, and a grief that is no longer his alone. He lowers his head, and I meet him halfway, rising on my toes. His lips meet mine, and it's not what I expected. It's not a kiss of command or possession. It's a kiss of desperate, aching need. It's hesitant at first, questioning, and then it deepens as I respond, my hand coming up to cup the back of his neck. It's a kiss that tastes of expensive wine and old sorrow and a spark of something new, something hopeful. It's the breaking of a dam, a release of all the tension, all the fear, all the unspoken longing that has defined our strange relationship. When he finally pulls back, we are both breathless. He rests his forehead against mine, his eyes closed. "I will not fail you, Lila," he murmurs, and it's not a threat or a promise of control. It's a vow, a sacred, broken, beautiful vow. In that moment, everything shifts. The lines of our arrangement, captor and captive, boss and assistant, blur and fade away, leaving just a man and a woman in a dark room, bound together by a shared storm. I know that loving this man will be dangerous, that his world is a treacherous place. But for the first time, I feel a sense of peace, because I realize I am no longer just an interest he is protecting. I am the harbor he has been searching for. After that night, the dynamic between us is irrevocably altered. The pretense of our employer-employee relationship feels flimsy, almost ridiculous. We don't speak of the kiss or of his confession, but it hangs in the air between us, a silent acknowledgement of a new beginning. He is still commanding, still guarded, but there are cracks in his armor that only I can see. A new softness in his eyes when he looks at me, a tendency to stand a little closer, the way his hand finds the small of my back in a crowd, a touch that now feels less like ownership and more like a lifeline. I, in turn, find a new boldness. My fear has been tempered by empathy. I start to ask questions about his business, not just the logistical details of his schedule, but the why behind the deals. At first, he's evasive, but I persist. "That deal with the shipping union," I say one afternoon, as we sit in his office, the glass wall separating us from the city below. "You conceded more than you had to." Why?" He looks up from his papers, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. The old Enzo would have dismissed the question. The new Enzo hesitates. "The union leader, Frank Gallo. He has a sick kid, needed better insurance coverage for his men." "Like Maya," I say softly. He nods, his gaze dropping back to his papers, a silent confirmation. He's using his power not just for profit and control, but to quietly mend the world in ways only he can, motivated by a past he can't escape. Seeing this side of him, this hidden morality within the ruthless businessman, only deepens the connection I feel. My life has a new rhythm. Days are spent at his side, navigating the treacherous currents of his world. Evenings are quiet affairs in the penthouse. We eat dinner together, sometimes talking, sometimes in a comfortable silence. He has a library I didn't know existed, hidden behind a paneled wall. He shows it to me one night, and I feel like he's handing me a key to his soul. It's filled with first editions, leather-bound classics, poetry. It's the sanctuary of a man with a deep and lonely inner world. We start spending our evenings there, reading in companionable silence, the space between our chairs shrinking night by night. But his world is still a dangerous one, and there are players in it who do not like the new role I have in his life. One of them is Marco, his second in command. Marco is handsome, charming, and unfailingly polite to me, but his eyes are cold. He watches me with a calculating stillness that sets my teeth on edge. He was the one, I realize, who was most deferential to Cecilia Thorne, the one who laughed loudest at her jokes. He sees me as an interloper, a weakness in the fortress of Enzo's life. I try to mention my unease to Enzo, but I have no concrete evidence, just a feeling. Marco seems, I don't know, I don't trust him. Enzo's expression hardens slightly. Marco has been with me for 10 years. He is loyal. His tone is dismissive, and it's a stark reminder that while our personal relationship has changed, he is still the man in charge, and his trust is not easily swayed. I let it go, but the feeling of being watched by Marco, of being judged and found wanting, never leaves me. One afternoon, I'm in the office organizing some files when a call comes through on Enzo's private line. He's in a meeting, and I'm under strict instructions not to disturb him. The call is from a blocked number. Normally I would ignore it, but something makes me answer. Vitale's office, I say, my voice crisp and professional. There's silence on the other end, then a distorted electronic voice speaks. A pretty new toy for the boss, but toys can be broken. The line goes dead. A chill snakes down my spine. It's a direct threat. I immediately try to trace the call, using the systems Enzo has, but it's routed through a dozen untraceable relays. When Enzo returns, I tell him about the call. He listens, his face turning to stone. He spends the rest of the day on the phone, his voice low and dangerous, calling in favors, demanding information. The peace of our private world is shattered. The outside, the danger, is pressing in. The threat escalates. A few days later, the car I'm in with Leo is run off the road by a black SUV. It's a clear warning shot. Leo handles the car with terrifying skill, getting us away, but I'm left shaken, the scent of burning rubber and my own fear thick in the air. When Enzo finds out, the rage that comes off him is a palpable force. He doubles my security. I am no longer allowed to leave the penthouse at all. The gilded cage has become a fortress, and I am its prisoner once more. The confinement frays my nerves. I feel trapped, useless. Enzo is consumed with finding the source of the threat, spending hours locked in his office with Marco and his other lieutenants. The intimacy we had found is strained by the new tension. He is distant, his mind elsewhere, the weight of his world pressing down on him. I see the ghost of the man who failed to protect his sister in his eyes, the fear of failing again. One evening, I find him in the library, staring out the window at the city lights, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He looks exhausted, the lines around his eyes deeper than usual. "You can't shut me out, Enzo," I say softly, coming to stand beside him. "I'm not made of glass. I'm stronger than you think." He turns to me, his eyes full of conflict. "This is my world, Lila, my fight. I brought you into it, and I will keep you safe. That is my only concern." "Your concern is suffocating me," I retort, my frustration boiling over. "I'm not your sister. I'm not some fragile thing you need to hide away. I'm with you in this, whether you like it or not. So let me help. I see things you don't. I hear things. I sit in those meetings. I know these people's voices, their habits. Let me be your partner, not just your liability." He stares at me, a long, searching look. I see a war in his eyes, his instinct to protect versus my demand to be seen as an equal. Finally, he gives a slow nod. "What have you seen?" This is my chance. Marco, I say, my voice steady. He's always there, always agreeing with you, but he never offers a solution. He just manages the problem. And when you were on the phone after that threat, he was watching you, not the screen. He was watching your reaction. And after the car was run off the road, he was the one who suggested I be confined to the penthouse. He said it was for my own good, to keep me safe. But it feels like he was isolating me. Isolating you. Enzo listens, his expression unreadable. I can't tell if he's considering my words or dismissing them. Marco has my complete trust, he says, but there's a sliver of doubt in his voice for the first time. The next day, everything breaks. My phone rings. It's the hospital. Maya's private suite. It's not the nurse. It's a man's voice, and I recognize it instantly, despite the electronic distortion. It's the same voice from the threatening call. "Hello, Lila," the voice says. "Your sister is a beautiful girl. It would be a shame if her treatment was interrupted." Ice floods my veins. I can't breathe. "What have you done?" "Nothing yet, but I have her. If you want to see her again, you will do exactly as I say. You will get Enzo Vitale's private ledgers, the physical copies he keeps in the safe in his office. You have 1 hour. Bring them to the old shipyard at Pier 4. Come alone. If you tell him, if anyone follows you, you will never see Maya again." The line goes dead. Panic, pure and absolute, threatens to swallow me whole. Maya. They have Maya. This is my worst nightmare come to life. The threat isn't about me anymore. It's about the person I love most in the world. My first instinct is to run to Enzo, to tell him, but the voice's threat echoes in my ears. If you tell him, they are targeting Enzo's weakness, and now they are using mine. But then his words from the night of the storm come back to me. I failed to protect her, and my own words from last night. Let me be your partner. I can't just be a damsel in distress. I have to be smart. This is a trap designed to do 2 things: get Enzo's ledgers and eliminate me, the 2 biggest thorns in their side. And I know, with a sudden, chilling certainty, who is behind it. It has to be Marco. He's the only one who would know about the physical ledgers, the only one who knew Enzo's story about his sister, the only one who would know that threatening Maya was the surest way to control me. My mind races. I have to play their game, but I have to do it my way. I go to Enzo's office. The safe is behind a painting, just as I've seen him open it 100 times. My hands tremble as I input the combination: his sister's birthday. The door swings open. Inside are the ledgers, but there's also a small, sleek GPS tracker, no bigger than a coin. An emergency device. He showed it to me once. For you, if you're ever in trouble. I take the ledgers, and I take the tracker. I activate it and slip it deep into the spine of one of the books. Then I find a small voice-activated recorder from his desk, a piece of spy tech I'd cataloged weeks ago. I slip it into my pocket. I walk out of the office, my face a mask of panicked resolve. I see Enzo down the hall talking to one of his men. I have to get out without him seeing me. My heart is in my throat. I can't take the main elevator. I use the service elevator, my hands shaking so badly I can barely press the button. The ride down is agonizing. I am walking into the lion's den. But I am not the same girl who was humiliated in a restaurant. I am not invisible anymore. I am Enzo Vitale's partner. And I am going to save my sister. The shipyard at Pier 4 is a graveyard of rusting metal and decaying wood, smelling of salt and rot. The sky is overcast, threatening another storm. It's the perfect, desolate stage for a final act. I clutch the heavy bag containing the ledgers, my knuckles white. I walk down the pier, my footsteps echoing unnervingly on the weathered planks. I see them at the far end, near a hulking, derelict warehouse. Maya is there, tied to a chair, looking terrified but unharmed. And standing beside her, a smug, triumphant look on his face, is Marco. "Lila, you came. I knew you would," he says, his charming smile looking grotesque in this setting. "You're so predictable, so emotional." "Let her go, Marco," I say, my voice surprisingly steady. "You have what you want." I hold up the bag. "Oh, I will," he says, walking toward me. "After I verify the merchandise, and after I finish my business." He gestures back toward Maya. "She's the insurance policy, and you're the loose end." He takes the bag from me and opens it, flipping through one of the ledgers. He smiles. "Perfect. Enzo's whole empire, right here. His partners, his accounts, everything. The family I'm selling this to will be very grateful. They'll make me a king." "He trusted you," I say, my voice laced with contempt. I need to keep him talking. I discreetly activate the recorder in my pocket. "He trusted me too much," Marco scoffs. "He got soft, ever since you showed up, talking about his sister, getting sentimental. He forgot the first rule. Sentiment is a liability, a weakness to be exploited. His weakness for his sister got his father killed. His weakness for you is about to cost him everything." "And what about my sister?" I demand, my eyes fixed on Maya's frightened face. "What did she ever do to you?" "She's his do-over," Marco says with a cruel laugh. "His chance to save the sister he let die. It's poetic, really, that his redemption is the very thing that will bring him to his knees." Suddenly, a roar of engines fills the air. Marco's head snaps up. Half a dozen black cars come screeching to a halt at the entrance to the pier, blocking the only exit. Men in dark suits spill out, moving with practiced, deadly efficiency. And at their head, walking through them like the angel of death, is Enzo. His face is beyond fury. It is a mask of cold, absolute annihilation. His eyes are locked on Marco, but I can feel the force of his presence washing over the entire pier. Marco's face pales. He drops the ledgers and pulls a gun, grabbing me and pressing the cold barrel to my temple. "Stay back, Enzo!" he screams, his composure shattered. "Or she dies. I swear I'll do it." Enzo stops, holding up a hand to his men. He stands about 20 feet away, his body perfectly still, a predator coiled to strike. "Let her go, Marco." His voice is terrifyingly calm. "No, it's over for me, I know that. But I'm taking her with me." Marco's voice is high with panic. His arm is trembling, the gun shaking against my head. This is it, the moment of choice. I can't let him use me. I can't let Enzo be forced to choose. I look at Maya, then at Enzo. I see the agony in his eyes, the reflection of his worst nightmare playing out all over again. "He's bluffing, Enzo," I say, my voice clear and strong, praying I'm right. "He needs me as a shield." Then I do the one thing Marco doesn't expect. I stop being the victim. I slam my heel down on his instep, hard, and at the same time, I drive my elbow back into his ribs with all my strength. He grunts in pain, his grip loosening for a fraction of a second. It's all I need. I wrench myself free, dropping to the ground and rolling away. The world erupts in a single, deafening gunshot. For a heart-stopping second, I think I'm hit. But there's no pain. I look up from the splintered wood of the pier to see Marco staggering backward, a look of shocked surprise on his face. A dark red spot is blossoming on his chest. Behind him, Enzo is standing, a gun in his hand, smoke curling from the barrel. He didn't hesitate. The moment I was clear, he took the shot. Marco collapses to the ground. Enzo's men swarm the pier, one of them immediately going to Maya, cutting her free. Enzo doesn't look at any of them. His eyes are only on me. He rushes forward, his gun disappearing as he drops to his knees beside me. Lila, are you hurt? His hands are on me, checking for injuries, his touch frantic, desperate. I'm okay, I breathe, my body shaking with adrenaline. I'm okay. He pulls me into his arms, crushing me against his chest. His heart is hammering as hard as mine. He holds me for a long moment, his face buried in my hair. I thought I'd lost you, he murmurs, his voice thick with an emotion he no longer tries to hide. I pull back, looking into his eyes. You found me, I say, touching his face. I knew you would. I hold up the small recorder. I got it all, his confession, everything. A look of fierce pride, of awe dawns in his eyes. He looks at me not as someone he needs to protect, but as his equal. His partner. Later, back in the silent, safe expanse of the penthouse, after Maya has been taken back to the hospital by Enzo's own physician and declared perfectly fine, just scared, we stand by the great window, watching the city lights. The external threat is gone. Marco is gone. The ledgers are safe. It's over. You are free to go. Lila, Enzo says quietly, his back to me. I understand if you want to leave. After all this, no one would blame you. I will ensure you and Maya are taken care of for the rest of your lives. You will want for nothing. He is offering me an out. The golden parachute. The escape from the gilded cage I once so desperately wanted. I can walk away, back to a normal life, a safe life. I can be Lila Morgan, the girl with a healthy sister and a comfortable bank account, and pretend the last few months never happened. I look at his reflection in the glass. I see the tension in his shoulders, the rigid set of his jaw. He's terrified that I will say yes. I walk up behind him and wrap my arms around his waist, resting my cheek against his strong back. I feel him stiffen in surprise, then relax into my embrace, his hand coming up to cover mine. Some people should know their place, I say softly, echoing the words that started it all. He turns in my arms to face me, his expression searching, hopeful. And I've chosen mine, I finish, looking up into his dark, beautiful eyes. My place is here, with you. A slow smile spreads across his face, a genuine, breathtaking smile that reaches his eyes for the first time, lighting them from within. It transforms him, chasing away the shadows of his past. He lowers his head and kisses me, a deep, lingering kiss full of relief and promise. It's not a kiss of gratitude or of ownership. It's a kiss of partnership, of equals. A new pact, made not of necessity or danger, but of choice. Looking out at the glittering, sprawling city below, I know that my life will never be simple or entirely safe. But standing here, in the arms of this complex, dangerous, and brokenly beautiful man, I am no longer invisible. I am home.